I'm a sinner. I want you to know I'm a sinner, hardcore sinner. Because when I sin, I'm going to sin real good. Because it's a sin, I may as well enjoy it and then seek forgiveness later. But I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. I make mistakes. I've fallen short of the glory of God. I'm telling you, I'm going to be the first one on my knees praying to God. I'm going to be the first one running for the priest. I'm going to be running. I hope he's worthy. But anyhow, I'm going to be running. But it goes on, the last scripture, Romans chapter 10. Romans chapter 10, I'm done. I'm sorry to keep you so long. And I hope I have not personally offended anyone, because that was not my intention. I just want to set the record straight. Just, it's okay. We're okay. We love each other. We can disagree with each other and still love each other, you know. We can differ in our theology and our disagreement, but we're going to still love each other, because we go back a long way. Some of you, I'm scared to tell you how far long back we go, because you'll be trying to tell how old I am. I don't want you. I'll talk about your age, but don't talk about mine. Romans chapter 10. Here we go. Romans chapter 10 in verse chapter 10, verse 9. For if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So who can be saved? Who has the ownership over salvation? We do, our own salvation. And I'm going to tell you something. When you pray for Satan's conversion, Satan will flee. Call on Jesus. Say the name Jesus. Satan gone. He's going to get tired of it. See, the problem is we're not. That's why the Bible talks about we wrestle in Ephesians chapter 6. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities, against the rulers of darkness in high heavenly places. So put on the whole armor of God, because this is a spiritual war. And the problem is that a lot of us have not put on the whole armor of God, and we're not waging a war with Satan. We're not waging a war with evil. And that's why evil is still prevailing. That's why evil is winning. Because we won't do like they did in World War I, like they did in World War II. You know, same thing in Vietnam. Look at we over there, the North Vietnamese outsmarted us, didn't they? The point is, we're in that, we're on that, in that country now. The reality is that if we are strong enough, if we are united enough, if we are of one mind and heart, we can defeat the enemy, and the enemy will have to surrender. Who is Satan going to go to once he has surrendered? There ain't nobody else to tempt. And I'm going to end on this note. You know what? I don't have time to go into the theology. But what the real story behind Genesis 3, where Eve is beguiled by Satan, is that Satan knew that Adam and Eve had been created as his children. Lucifer, even though he was created by God as an archangel, was not a child of God. No, he was not. We are the children of God. But the thing is that Lucifer, once banished, felt alienation. If you understand the deeper meaning of Genesis 3, is that Lucifer, as Satan, felt separation and alienation from God, because God was bestowing all this love on Adam and Eve. That Adam and Eve became the apple of God's eye, and Lucifer was jealous. Satan was envious. Satan was mad as hell. And so therefore, he sought to usurp that love that God had reserved for his children only, and tried to compromise Eve. And there's more to the story than just simply the eating of an apple. Because first of all, the word apple is not even mentioned in the Genesis account. Where did that come from? It's called fruit. Adam partook of the forbidden fruit that was in the center of the garden. Adam was the tree of life, and Eve was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and Satan partook of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which was, he partook of the fruit in the center of the garden. Now deconstruct that and redefine that. So anyhow, we're done. We're done. You know, we're going downstairs to eat now. If you want to have a discussion about this, even if you disagree, it's okay. I'm all right. We can talk about this. I won't even get indigestion. I might give you indigestion. You won't give me you won't give me indigestion. But I love you madly. I thank you for your patience. I'm glad you ain't like some of these white folks who stand up and shout and scream and holler. I love them too. They're my brothers and sisters. They're our brothers and sisters. But you know how we talk about that stuff. We love everybody. You know, some of my best friends are white. But no, anyhow, you know, like that's what they say about us. So some of my black friends, some of my best friends are black. Like as if that's you know, whatever. But anyhow, study the word. Study the word. There's just no question about it. We see hell all in the Bible, but it's not what it has been made to be. That's all I'm saying. It's not. So you can try to say, well, what about this bishop, this pastor? Yeah. But what does it mean? What is the origin of it? What is the purpose of it? And the last thing I want to say is this. I said that before, but let me leave you with this image. Let me leave you with this image. What is our understanding of God? What is our concept of God? Is it one who sits high on the throne and judges us, or as creator, or is our image of God as our heavenly parent who, like that father in the New Testament, who was approached by a son, one of two sons, by his own kith and kin, and said to him, give me my share of the inheritance. And we know what he did. He went out and spent all that. The father did it. He went and spent all that money on loose women. He became sinful. He became corrupt. He became evil. But that was still the father's son. No matter what the son did, no matter how much he cursed the father, no matter how much he took and squandered the father's funds, every day that father stood on the front porch of that house, looking into the distance, waiting for his son to return. Knowing that his son wasn't worth a hill of beans, knowing that his son had done everything to disconnect and to separate and to alienate himself from his father, that father still longed for his son in his heart. And when that son finally came to his senses and said that the pigs, the swine, have something better to eat than I have, I'm going to go back to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. Treat me as if I were one of your hired hands. The father didn't hear any of that. The father had every reason to hold a grievance, to hold a grudge. The father had every right to disown him and banish him forever. But he did not say. They said, kill the fatted calf. Put a ring on his finger, shoes on his feet, put a robe on his body, because this son of mine is back. The one who once was lost has now been found. That's my image of God. That no matter how far I become distant from him and how much I become separated from him, he will still wait for me to come back home. And when I come back home, there will not be punishment. There will not be eternal condemnation. There will not be fire and brimstone. That there will only be love. And the way that we convert others back to God is not by hatred. It's not by fear. It's not by intimidation. It's by love. We've got to love the hell out of Satan. We've got to love the hell out of each one of us. We've got to embrace each other. We've got to walk with each other. We've got to pray for each other. We've got to believe in each other. We've got to go the extra mile with each other. We've got to raise up rather than strike down. And we have to lift up rather than to push down. And when we see the God in each other and embrace the God in each other, Satan has got to flee. Satan will surrender. And the alienation that he will feel for finally being alone will cause his knee to bend, his knee to bow, and to confess with his demonic, diabolical, sinister, evil self that Jesus Christ is Lord.